Starting with some information items, so we can start. Calling this March 16th meeting of the Lake Elmo Parks Commission to order. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes, the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next, I hope folks have had a chance to look at the minutes from the February meeting. And are there, if anyone notices any changes, please let me know. Or else can I have a motion to accept the minutes from February?
A motion to accept the February 18th, 2026 minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, motion carried. Next, we have the sustainability update.
All right. Hello, Commissioners. Before we get started, I wanted to take a second to introduce myself, as I haven't presented in front of you guys tonight, or previously. I've worked with the Planning Department for the past 2 years. My name is Ashley. I'm mostly liaison between EDA and Planning Commission, but I see some of the sustainability stuff as overlapping with parks. So I recently have expanded my scope of work to include supporting and coordinating on sustainability initiatives. And yeah, like I said, that touches on each commission. So with that, I'll get into the presentation. Starting with Green Steps. Well, first of all, the city participates in Green Steps program, or Green Steps cities in Gold Leaf programming. So first I'll outline those programs, just give a little refresh, and then after that I can go over some of the updates that we've had over the last year. So starting with Green Steps, this is a voluntary challenge assistance and recognition program put out by the MPCA for cities reporting on sustainability and quality of life goals. The program lays out 29 best practices, which each provide required and recommended actions. High level, it's a continuous improvement program based on dozens of sustainability best practices. So 54% of Minnesota's population participates in Green Step cities, from cities that are large like St. Paul to cities that are really tiny with 250 or so residents like Hewitt, Minnesota. The city of Lake Elmo joined the program in 2012. We have completed at least 13 best practice actions out of 29. There are 5 steps to achieve and maintain in this program. We are currently at step 5. It's in the Planning Commission's work plan that staff continue to work on these programs to maintain steps 4 and 5 and 26. To maintain the step 5 status, the city needs to continue measuring and tracking sustainability metrics. So this slide has categories for best practices listed. There are 181 possible actions within 29 best practice action items. The program is actually very detailed, and there are many, many areas to zoom in and out of. But to put it really simply, there are 5 steps to achieve and maintain. The first is to pass a resolution. That's what we did in 2012 to join the program. Steps 2 and 3 are related to reporting those best practice action items, and 4 and 5 are about tracking and improving metrics. So that's where we are now. So I'll move on to the Gold Leaf program. At the beginning of the month, you might have seen that Kristen Rose presented the city with a Gold Leaf Award for participating in the Gold Leaf program. The Gold Leaf Challenge uses Green Step program as a guide to providing resources. You can kind of view it as a sister program to Green Step cities. So Gold Leaf is focused on taking new actions that address climate change, while Green Step recognizes past and current actions more broadly across sustainability. Gold Leaf programs encourage cities to keep engaging in climate goals, and Green Step encourages cities to track metrics. So there are 44 Gold Leaf actions across 4 categories. As the Gold Leaf Director stated at her presentation to Council, this table is not intended to be a checklist. It's more of a menu of options that the city can use to identify actions that staff can prioritize. Each action includes considerations for different types of communities and instructions on how often it can be awarded. We have been using this as a framework for our Green Steps, or our Green Team Work Plan. So the city received the award because we completed two action items last year. One was for collaborating with Washington Conservation District on their Tree Stewards program, and the other was for creating a green team. So you can find out about both programs more thoroughly on the city website, or you can reach out with questions to me. So next I'll pivot to some of those sustainability updates, starting with the Lake Elmo Green Team. The Green Team is a group of city staff that meet quarterly to identify and document ongoing and new efforts. We coordinate across departments, so there's folks from planning, finance, public works, admin, and fire. So by organizing and tracking this work now, the team is building a better picture of existing progress, and this will allow us to set more focused, achievable goals in the future. So as we just saw, the Gold Leaf, on the similar slide, the Gold Leaf program has 44 action items. The items circled in green are the ones that we completed last year, and the ones in red are on our work plan for 2026. So in your packet, you can find the Green Team Work Plan. I won't get into the nitty-gritty details now, but broadly, it's focused on Gold Leaf, Green Steps, and then participating in a water impact challenge. And that's kind of to be determined right now, but that's part of the Green Steps program. So now you have a better idea of the team in both programs, and we can get into some of the recent updates. Starting with Fuel Cloud, this was a software that was implemented to track fuel inventory in city fleet. This is helping the city establish baseline metrics for greenhouse gas emissions, and can help track fuel costs as well. Next is the low input grass testing. I'm sure most of you or some of you have heard that the U of M has began researching low input grass species in Lake Elmo with the goal that if the grass is successful, it could be used for water conservation and we could use less fertilizer in the future. When we can learn more, we'll learn more about that study in the fall. Next is the East Metro Water Resource Education Program, MREP. The city strengthened our partnership with them last year, and that's when we coordinated on their Tree Stewards volunteer program, and we plan to continue to do that work into 26. They also offer a water stewards program. I think they're doing their first cycle now, and then we aim to join them in the fall of 26 as well. A couple of water-related items. The city participates in partnership with the Met Council and offers a rebate program for purchases of eligible water-efficient products. We also put out a water brochure and report for the first time in 2025 that has information about water restrictions and water conservation tips. The city plans to continue to beef up those materials and send them out in 26. Next highlighted is the Washington County Recycling Grant. The city has received funding for improved communications, website, newsletter, socials, and last year we also helped promote the North Environmental Center in Forest Lake. We also did a project with reusable totes that were made out of recycled materials in each bag. We did a giveaway at National Night Out that had a Going Green guide, composting guide, and other green materials. And we plan to continue to use those at other city events. We participated in pumpkin composting last year, and we had the most pumpkin compost by weight in Washington County, so that was exciting. Sorry. We also applied for funding in 2026, and we plan to use some of the funding this year, if we're approved, for new recycling bins at city parks. Continue to do those communication efforts, and then also hopefully do some sort of recycling event to be determined, maybe a fix-it clinic or something like that. Next, we can talk about trees. In 2025, the city is expected to receive the Tree City USA status again. I think this is the 20th year that the city has received Tree USA status. We distribute about 500 trees at Arbor Day giveaway. This year, Arbor Day is on 4/25. In 2026, we're looking to gain the Tree City Growth Award. And that is for growing the tree canopy. Some of that work is related to the tree fund, which we established last year. That's a dedicated established fund for tree replacement throughout the city. With that fund, we created the Boulevard Tree Program. We just closed the window for applications for trees on the boulevard or right away. But that's a new pilot program that we're doing in 2026, and that's to provide street trees to residents who lack trees in the right of way. And finally, I just want to note that the city is updating the comp plan in the next couple of years, and with that, local governments are required to plan for climate change as part of their comprehensive plan, and the city of Lake Elmo will begin its work to meet the requirements of Met Council this year and into next year. And if you want any more information on some of these sustainability efforts, Kathy, the communications coordinator, and I try to keep a maintained sustainability page, but some of this stuff is pretty detailed, and I'm happy to talk about it with whoever, and feel free to shoot me an email. But with that, I can leave room for any questions if you have them. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Just one question.
Sure.
Some of these goals seem like time-based, and some seem to go on forever. So is there, of the ones that are time-based, is there a time frame for that?
On the, specifically to the work plan, or just the goals generally?
Yeah, the work plan items.
Yeah, that's a good question. Our goal, since this is our first year, we're trying to take the ones that we think that we can achieve in the year or two.
Right.
So on the work plan,
Right.
those are ones that we're trying to achieve in 2026. Ideally, I would love to incorporate larger goals that we can do over time, but since we're kind of getting our feet wet with this program, especially because Gold Leaf is, it's a newer program itself too. Yeah, eventually, I think those.
And coordinating with the budget and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think those goals will they won't take a year, to your point. They'll take longer than a year to achieve.
Okay. Thank you.
Ashley, are you familiar with the Adopt a Drain program?
I am, yes.
Is that something that would fall under one of these categories?
It may. If you tap into Gold Leaf and Green Step, I don't know off the top of my head, but that's something I can certainly look at. There's a lot of like cross alignment for both programs and existing things like Adopt a Drain.
Yeah.
So I'll look into that.
I think that would really need it. A number of our neighbors do it on our street, but walking through the city this time of year, and you probably know, Adam.
Oh, for
The
sure.
sewers are full of leaves and sticks and granules and stuff, and it's like, I'll stop and remove some, and my husband said, I can't do every drain I go by. But it's something that neighbors can do, you know, and they ask you to do it 3 times a year. It's really minimal.
Yeah,
So
you get a little sign that says that you adopted
Yeah,
your
you
drain. I did that
you
in
can
St.
purchase
Paul.
the sign, yes, and if you do enough, they give you a T-shirt if you do it for a couple of years, so I've got that too.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I'll look into coordinating that with,
I think
whoever.
it's a low-cost thing that you can get neighborhoods to do.
yeah, great suggestion.
Thank you.
I have a question. Ashley, do you see any opportunities that you want the Parks Commission to be thinking about with you?
I think that Adam is part of the green team, so I think if there's any interest from anyone on the Parks Commission that wants to participate in this further, I think you could reach out to Adam or I, and we could coordinate that. I don't think we have anything set, or I don't have anything envisioned, but open to suggestions, especially since we're new at this.
Okay. As you were just flipping through your slides, one thing that in particular that jumped out at me was the thinking about connectivity and like transportation options. And I know that's something that we're always thinking about and often comes before us is trails.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you can ask a question after. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Ashley.
Thank you.
Next, Adam has a Ridge Park Playground update.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. So tonight, we're going to review two of our parks that we have coming up for new playgrounds or potentially new playgrounds for 2026. The first one we have is Ridge Park. We have discussed this multiple times over the last 3 or 4 months in regards to just the structure of that park and what it might look like in the future, and by viewing a couple of concept plans. So Ridge Park, the playground was originally installed in 2003. As we noted, we kind of been putting these parks into our CIP every 20 to 25 years as a lifespan, and that lifespan comes from the National Park and Recs Association as that communities should look at for replacement or major upgrades on those play sets. So that's kind of where we set that in our CIP for all of our playgrounds, and that's what we're looking at going forward. So again, installed in 2023. We reviewed this with those concept plans, and we're up to reviewing or just kind of going over those steps of what we've analyzed over the last, back in January, as our establishing those criteria of whether or not it meets that. Again, history of that was that we were questioned by our city council to maybe potentially look at reducing or implementing different types of park amenities. So, and maybe to eliminate some of those park playgrounds in some of our sites. As we go forward, let's look at those criteria that we set forth back out in January. Those criteria include park classification, redundancy or proximity, alternative amenities, demographics to the community. I did include that in the parks packet as well as some additional information that we had in those in that meeting in January, just to reclassify those comments on that. So, you know, as we look forward, we are looking for, you know, recommendations from the commission. A lot of these things are just modernizing what we have there, making accessibility. I think it probably goes back to when I first started. That's what the Park Commission big push was at that time, is making many of our parks more accessible. This playground does sit out in the middle of that park, and accessibility for people with handicaps or might be, does make it very frustrating to get out to this playground, and just into the playground itself might not be accessible. So, with that, I'll turn that probably over to the Parks Commission for discussion and review of those 4 criteria. And I'm looking for a recommendation if we're gonna move forward with one, or if this is one of those playgrounds that we look at different amenity at.
Great, thanks. If it's all right with everyone, maybe we can take public comment before questions for you, Adam.
Yeah.
So I'd like to invite Dave Dressel up to the stand. And if you could please state your name, address, and topic. And then, this, of course, does not have to be organized, but 6 minutes is kind of the maximum
Well, the
time
intro
frame.
will be that long. So, Dave Dressel, 1743 Ivory Avenue North, Lake Elmo. I'm the vice president of the association in the area, so everything we're talking about directly impacts our group. You know, we all moved out there, I guess, to kind of have our isolation dream. And then with a lot of changes here, we get concerned about it and all the influx of cars and such. And the influx of cars and such should also concern you because the traffic flow on that road out in front is horrific. I mean, there's times we have to spend many minutes, you'll verify that, even to get in and out. So if we're adding traffic to that area, you really gotta think it through. I mean, I saw the design with two and in and out on the parking lot. I think if you're going to do this, if you need to do this, if you want to move the park closer to get accessibility, then you really got to think about size of the parking lot. Where it stands today, there's one road in and one road out. It's just one road. There's not enough traffic to need two lanes, one in and out. I think a 10 to 20 or 10 to 15 size parking lot probably would do the job right where it exists today. We also need to think about the budget, the city's budget as well. You know, if it was up to me and a lot of the neighbors would just plant wildflowers out there and let it be a nature reserve or preserve where folks could walk the trails that do that now. A lot of the people that do enjoy that park do that exact thing, just walk the trails, enjoy the natural setting that it's in. The baseball field doesn't get used much. If I was a coach here, I'd be using it a lot because it's a gem. But, you know, I think we really have to think about traffic flow. The only other way you could do it is to put entrances and exits out on Inwood, and that would be catastrophic as well. So we're trying to keep it as downsized as possible. We get that you might have to do something or want to do something. So it's enjoyed by others, but the ones that enjoy it for what it is would like to keep it as much like it is. But wildflowers would be pretty low cost, ongoing, unless it has to get burnt here and there to keep that fresh. But that's our feeling. We don't want to see it change dramatically. If you do it, traffic's going to be a problem. And then safety. I just wanted to know about the trees later. All right, I'm good.
Are there any questions for Dave Dressel?
Any other comments that I'm missing? All right, thank you. Did I make it?
Oh, yeah, you did make plenty under 6 minutes. I do have one question for you,
Yeah.
actually. So we've gone through a number of proposals for Ridge Park. Have you had a chance to see any of the other ones, and did you have any thoughts on elements that
Well, I
you know
guess
you like to see that you?
for us, you know, if you'd ask the group out there who sees it and uses it the most, and I know it's not our part, I get it, I get it. But, I think for others, I could see the enhancement of moving the park. Yeah, it's back there a ways, but usually you go to a park to get some exercise, so that's kind of ironic. And then really minimize the parking lot. I would really think that through. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, questions for Adam?
So the playground would need to be removed by when?
So that playground would likely be removed in 2026 regardless, just because of the situation that it sits. Where it sits is entrapped in the water a lot of times in the spring, and so that thing does heave and move quite a bit before it settles out late spring, early summer. So our inspector does see a lot of changes in that thing. The concrete forms are starting to be exposed there. So just as a safety hazard, either we gotta put in more mulch, or, you know, again, we gotta go out there and tip it back and likely burrow those things back to the ground. With the condition that it's in, it's likely more apt to just be removed. As you look past our playgrounds in the past, if it's DeMontreville, Pebble, if you remember, we actually took parts off those playgrounds and put up plywood and things like that, and took off slides because they were broken and busted. This is getting to the point of very similar to those situations. So we're in that predicament right now of it just being removed.
I have a question for you, Adam. So they're across from Ridge Park. Can you remind me, has the city seen proposals for development in those like open areas?
So, so High Point Crossing has been approved by the city council for concept, I think at this point, it went through concept plan.
Okay.
And so that's the one down by the booster station, just northwest of the park, on the west side of Inwood. I think that consisted of about 30 lots, and there, give or take, 5 or 6, right? I think it may have been 26 lots or something, so, probably some larger homes in that area. Biggest issue with that might be accessibility, as you've already heard, like, Inwood is a busy road, right? Just accessibility, coming in from that. As far as the north section, going south to the open land down there, nothing has been proposed in that area right now. It is outside the MUSA, so, city sewer is not available in that area. The city is looking at constructing, a well at this time in that area, so, that's all that's being proposed in that area right now.
Can you get from this park to TABLYN? By going through Lake Elmo Park?
You can, but it's not very direct.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not, it's weird, yeah.
It is close, though.
It is close, that's
Close,
why the
but
question.
it's not intuitive. It's a little tricky.
I think I measured it before, I think it's like 1.2 miles from TABLYN to Ridge.
Thank you.
Remind me, did we do any just demographic work about what's neighborhood-wise, what the demographics are around kind of this area
I did not, no,
in terms of
families, like
families,
age-wise.
kids aging out,
Yeah.
you know, under 6, over, 6 to 12? We don't have any of that information, really. Okay.
Seems like the people, the neighbors who have come to speak to us are all, may not have young kids at home. I'll put it
Right,
that way.
that's why I kind of asked.
I drove around today looking for play sets in backgrounds, in backyards. And I saw them, it was a very unscientific survey, and I did not tally them, but there were some.
Yeah. I also did a little analysis, and I counted that you can walk to from the playset, not the entrance to the park. So it would be a little different if we go through this proposal. But within walking distance, there's about, well, I counted 97 residential lots that you could access, which is not the fewest number of homes within a mile walking distance of a park, but it's also lower, on the lower end.
And what's the classification of this park?
It's a neighborhood park.
Well, why don't we open it up for discussion to the commission to talk about these 4 considerations in a little bit more detail? And we can think about what our recommendation might be to move forward or not, and if so, what parameters? Okay, so we've talked about the park classification of being a neighborhood park.
Which generally can have a playground, right?
Say again?
Neighborhood parks have amenities? That's a question.
No, okay, just, yeah.
Yeah, a
Neighborhood parks, I know, most of them have amenities.
Yep.
Right, based on the master plan that we did, that was
As
identified.
opposed to like a nature preserve.
Right.
Does that work? Okay.
Right.
Wasn't following, I
Provide-
got you, I'm catching up.
Technically, the purpose, at least in the master plan, is it provides, a neighborhood park provides active recreation and information gathering spaces and addresses day-to-day neighborhood needs and offers field size for practice and youth games.
which it does all that.
Yep. Any thoughts on redundancy and proximity? Hank mentioned that, for us, the question about if TABLYN Park was accessible, via off-road connections. And the answer is minimally, I guess.
The other one is Lake Elmo Park. Is that accessible? The county park? To this
where the
neighborhood?
There's,
Yeah, right.
yeah. I mean, there's an entrance right off Inwood for that, but there are no easily accessible playgrounds on that side of the park reserve.
There's lots of trails for wildflowers. They've taken a lot of the buckthorn out and put a lot of wildflowers in.
Stonegate is, as the crow flies, not too far away, to the south.
Well, if you look at the master plan, that we have the overlay, not the overlays, but we have the bubbles that, to show the distance. It's certainly not, there's no overlap between TABLYN or, I think the next closest would be Goose, but that's not there's no is there a playground there? No, no
No,
playground
it's just
there.
the
Both.
fishing dock,
Yeah,
fishing
so,
pier.
So, it's what, a quarter mile walking distance to a half mile,
For the neighborhood park.
the neighborhood parks? So, I mean, it's certainly not overlapping anything as far as redundancy. I guess the question is whether it's close enough, and I think that's what a couple of you have been getting at, it's close enough that there's,
It's not obvious, maybe.
Right.
And close enough by vehicle, more than probably walking. I mean, you can, but
It'd be hard to bike.
it'd be hard to walk, yeah, so from that perspective.
So then you get down to the last two, the alternative amenities, better serve the park surrounding if the playground was not replaced.
I mean, we have this concept, of course, has disc golf being added in there, which is a new amenity, an alternative amenity that it seems like we've heard pretty good reception to. And of course, is not anywhere else.
But the way he's gone. Oh. Okay, I was just gonna say, the way I heard and from this time and before, from the neighborhood, is they really want their privacy, they really want their walking trails, they really want their wildflowers. It's okay if you do the playground and move it forward and put it in a parking lot, but keep that all minimal. That's what I've heard. So that's the answer to this.
yeah, I think the question right now is specific to the playground, whether we're putting that in the larger plan is obviously part of it, but we're addressing that playground.
And that's down the road, too.
Right. I guess, my overall thought with this, I know we've got some sort of direction or input from city council about reducing the number of playgrounds. Our master plan calls for either a playground or a play amenity. So there should be an equivalent with it, the skate park or something like that. But in my mind, on this on this west side, I'll get it. The west side is pretty spread out. The place we're gonna find some redundancy for playgrounds is going to be on the east side, I think. And overall, I'm okay with playgrounds. I would maybe push back a little bit with that idea that we need to eliminate. I've heard somebody say that it should be down to 7, and to me, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna be a proponent of saying, we put a playground in a park. There is not overlap here. I don't think there's, from feedback from neighbors that there's, anybody saying, yeah, we'd really like a skate park here or something like that. So, the playground to me seems appropriate, looking at these criteria.
And it doesn't seem, because of the other nature amenities around, AKA Lake Elmo Park Reserve,
Right.
eliminating the playground to go back to nature, well, okay, that's a
Right.
marginal increase. Okay, of
And they
nature.
can both exist as well.
And I think they can both exist, I agree.
In fact, if the plan moving it closer to the parking lot makes more sense than having it now in the middle of an area that's kind of a nature, potentially a nature area or a trail, then you've got the structure sitting out. I presume it was to get it closer to houses in the neighborhood, but I'm not quite sure why it ended up where it ended.
I don't
To
either.
me, it,
Yeah.
There must have been a period of time, because we've got a number of these parks where
They're
the
just-
playground equipment's in the middle of
The park,
nowhere.
yeah, it's in no man's land. Yeah.
Tablyn's gonna be that. and then
Yeah.
Tablyn.
Yeah.
Right.
So in the past, people were able to drive back to that park or that play structure. That berm wasn't in there, and I misquoted in there that it did, I said 2000, it was around 2020s when they kinda made that etch in there, that berm in there to get that water out of there.
Okay.
So people before were able to drive a little bit closer to it. Was it great? Probably not, I don't recall any situations from it, but, the parking lot wasn't structured like what it is now.
But Clyce is that way, where it's in the middle of,
And Tablin's no different.
Yeah. I think that's a good spot to keep the playground structure there. With new houses coming across the street, I think a lot of, if they're younger kids, they're not going to be going to the park anyways by themselves, so they're going to have adults either walk them or
Or
drive them
drive,
across
yeah.
13. I think it's a nice amenity, and it's right on 13. If you're driving your kids and they need to get out, it's right there. Spend a few minutes,
and there's a good probability that they'll build to the south, and that park extends all the way to that,
to the
South.
Armstrong property.
so
yeah.
you could, a
Connect, you
trail
could eventually
could
connect.
connect in there.
And I don't think the playground, if we approve that, as long as we're comfortable with location,
Right.
determines the rest of the
No. you could
park amenities, and that may take some while to flesh out and see how the park gets used, and none of this may not fit the rest of what's kind of proposed, whether it's open space or disc golf or a court or whatever, or it may, but I don't think the choice of not doing a playground, I think it's needed in that area, I think the only other thing would be then just, what do we do with the parking lot, and if there's a way to redo it, but frame it for future use. I get what it's, you're gonna have two entrances and exits, I don't know. And that that one entrance is so close to the Inwood, I don't know if you could either cut it, or I don't know if making it one way would help.
I've been strong proponent, they need some paved parking, if that's gonna be.
I agree, yes,
They
it's
need some
just,
paved parking. I'm okay with the 10 to 15. I agree with you, it should be, I don't remember the whole design, but if it can be moved a little bit from the entrance. And I think it can be achieved.
Yeah, I think, and we discussed this last meeting
Yeah.
too, how the just right sizing it, and I think that we've seen really successful parking lot expansions at Sunfish, Reed
Tablyn.
Park, Tablyn. So I think expanding for future use is certainly something that is well within something we're comfortable doing if there's demonstrated need there.
So Adam, are you looking for a motion for the playground, for the concept, for the parking lot, number of stalls, for the disc golf? What are you
Yes.
looking?
I'm looking for a motion today for moving forward with the playground
Thank you.
only. If we do plan to pursue this further as far as the parking lot, things like that, that'll definitely be another CIP item that'll exceed our 20,000 that will likely put in for 2027. So I'm looking for direction today to seek out a framework for some examples of a playground, if that's what we go towards. If we don't, then we'll scratch that.
Great, thanks. Let's talk about the preferred age group and kind of size, amenities, features. Tammy, did you have any thoughts? Haven't heard.
On age group?
Or just
in general?
kind of where this
No,
conversation's going.
I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. I think it makes sense to move forward with the playground. Plus, it'll just get, I'm sure, used more if it's more accessible. So, I mean, I think those are all positives.
We can work it out, but I think this might be the time that we go more to the physical fitness, athletic, older kid type place. Just throwing out an idea, this might be the time that then you wouldn't have 27 kids there, you'd have 2 or 3 or 4 older kids, but I don't know. It's a thought.
I guess that concept or that idea is directly in contrast to this idea that maybe this isn't a park that people venture to independently, like youth, kids.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's maybe both is the answer.
I think we heard at one of our previous concept plans is like, yeah, and it goes back to the demographics. What do we have?
Right.
Right, and so I think this neighborhood is still right in the middle of original owners. Maybe a couple, you know, I'm not gonna say 50%, 70% or anything like that of changeover, but our demographics there might be on the older side as far as like, we might be looking at now grandkids, you know, taking them to the park and things like that versus maybe what Hank was saying is maybe those teenage kids there. So, we did hear from I think the president of the HOA at one of those meetings too, saying like, we are seeing a change though as well. You do have younger families coming in, down into the park, Prairie View area. So, you look at like, what do we have? We have one tot lot in the city, that's at Pebble Park, right? Outside of that, we don't have another tot lot. So that'd be something to consider too. But like you said, we don't have any physical equipment either. I know that was brought up by, I think, Pat before about maybe putting that along trails in the south end of town versus having one specific thing, but just something to think about as well. Just some things that have been discussed in the last few years.
Great, thanks. I mean, I personally would love to see a swing element. I feel like that is like a lot of age groups, older kids, adults even like swings. And then something in that 5 to 12 age range. I feel like wouldn't maybe would just afford more options.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. It's like a little bit of that wider range, because if you go too old, to me, it seems like that would be more a community park versus a neighborhood park. I mean, to me, a neighborhood, especially this size, it just, we'd want to for sure understand the demographics, I think, versus, it's probably more risky.
I could also imagine, like, parents might want to go play disc golf if they have kids that are somewhat independent, and then they can play there. A family type thing.
Well, I mean, traditionally, the vendors can do like at the 3 to 5 and the 6 to 12 and combine it into one container. You don't have 2 separate areas, so that kind of covers the gamut if we want to go that route.
We had kind of talked last time about at least the drawing that Bolton and Menk proposed had the disc golf crossing the paths often. So maybe something with the age range of the playground, like you mentioned, Tracy, and then do like the exercise thing. So
along the, yeah.
Parents could go and do the exercise route or whatever, while the kids are there.
Because of the size of the park, those are both easily added in the future, if not.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 125,000 that's in the CIP for this, is that right?
And that's play feature and container, because they'll need a new container.
Yep, yep. So our practice now is a concrete border.
Yeah.
With play chips.
I mean, into Ashley's presentation, if we want to start building in, I don't know what our overall global plan is for trash and recycling, but, you know, we should always plan to build that kind of stuff in moving forward. It's not a lot, it's not a, you know, whether it's through grants or whatever, but it's just something to build in if we want to have that kind of be a standard.
Well, I personally feel like we're coalescing around a motion or recommendation here for Adam. Are there other thoughts right now, things that people didn't get a chance to say before we start to?
Well, let's talk for a minute about, if we're looking at something for teenagers, is this a park that we would want teenagers to hang out at? You know, do you want to have something at, or do we want them more in town, or, you know, on a busy street there? Is it,
Yeah.
is there potential for issues?
Yeah, I think there are better options for parks for youth to hang out a little bit more independently. Like, I think TABLYN Park might be a good one, but.
Yeah, I just don't, with the busy road and Inwood, I don't think this is a safe option to do that. Because if you want kids and teens to be getting exercise and biking, this isn't the right, I mean, there's already problems with vehicles, let alone we don't need to add, I wouldn't want to add walkers and bikers. To encourage,
Yeah.
but we got to find the right spot.
Right.
But I still think we should keep, it's a good point, I think we should keep it on our radar. It's just where.
I guess my only comment is, we're gonna talk about TABLYN next, they're not right, they're in line with one another. Does it make sense to consider both of these at the same time? As far as making a motion now on RIGE and then saying, okay, what are we gonna do with TABLYN? Should we look at them in totality? That kind of muddles things for us a little bit as far as making decisions, but it seems sort of appropriate to, you know.
It does,
Yeah.
but I just heard they're independent, so.
Yeah, when I look at it, I feel like they're separately enough that we can consider them separately.
Fair enough.
Other than in the mental.
What?
Everything should be considered with everything, you know. other than that.
Okay, well, I might make a motion then to move forward with a playground replacement concept at Ridge Park for combined ages 3 to 5 and 5 to 12 with options to expand amenities in the future.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
What does that mean with the options to expand in the future? I mean, do you want
thinking
anything
about-
from?
Disc golf, thinking about exercise equipment.
You wouldn't do anything now to mess it up.
Yeah, but I guess thinking about this $125,000 budget in the CIP and kind of sticking within that, but not necessarily wanting to say that that is what is the only thing that's going to be there for the next 25 to 30 years.
Yeah, I guess I was anticipating, and maybe I'm wrong, that when we were talking about a Ridge Park concept plan, that we were kind of still discussing that within the year here to potentially make plans, but we're just talking about playground today to kind of kick things off, because
Yeah. Playground's gonna be today, so like, as we go forward to like that June era, that's where we're gonna start talking CIP, cause we have nothing else planned for Ridge Park, right? If we're gonna,
Right.
if the future of that does include, disc golf, there's definitely planning that goes involved with that. It's getting on a contractor that actually designs it, right? You have concrete pads, you have, or if they're gonna be gravel pads,
Sure.
whatever they are.
No, I guess, what I'm trying, so Chair or Adam, do we anticipate that we're gonna, in the very near future, continue to discuss concept plans for Ridge Park? Or are we kind of just?
That's a great question. Because, yeah, that would be contingent on where is this playground gonna be situated? How are people gonna get access to, it? Like, right, it's all together. But yeah, I guess, Adam, I feel like you're in a position to answer that. If the overall consensus is to move forward to get that playground concept and start designing that playground, when do you wanna sequence these other elements of this
So they'll-
proposal?
Yeah, there'll be like probably, I would phase it out as a parking lot, improvements to the parking lot in 2027. And then future amenities would follow in late 27, 28, or 29.
Okay.
In keeping with the budget.
So I have an issue because as long as I've been on the commission, we've always talked about the need to address some amenities for teens, and we keep pushing it out.
Well, disc golf would be a teen activity.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
And, yeah, but I hear you. And maybe that comes with TABLYN, possibly.
And that's not a superly, that's not a, I mean, disc golf isn't, it's not a, we're not, I think you could do it for a decent amount. You just need the.
Budget-wise?
Budget-wise,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
You just need the,
relatively
the pads, the
inexpensive.
baskets.
Yes.
I mean, you might need some, but yeah,
Landscape engineer.
yeah. Maybe that is TABLYN.
So Adam, you think the life of the play structure would be done this summer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking that if we did something for teenagers, and the play structure is removed this summer, there could be a summer or two without a play structure there before a new one is put in? Would the budget work that way?
To do all at the same time? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, no, if we don't have money for both a teen option and a new playground structure, could we start the teen structure this year? And then there might be a year or two when there's no playground structure there, and they could go to TABLYN for a year or two until the money is there, and we come and put a new structure in 27
Can
or
I-
28?
Okay, is the question that you're asking, Pat, is it essentially, what if this CIP item this year was reallocated for the disc golf immediately as a teen amenity, and then let's do the playground later?
Yeah.
Okay,
I feel
I think
strongly
that's
that
a
we
cool
need to do
idea.
something for teens. We've talked about it a lot, and we haven't done anything.
I mean, I think that would be a totally cool idea.
Yeah, I think though that's gonna put a lot of brakes on, which is fine, but the community really wasn't really thrilled about the disc golf when it was presented. They're barely putting up with the change in the playground equipment.
I mean, to Peter's point, I know we're not overlapping, but could we talk about TABLYN? Because maybe there's an option there, I don't know, for disc golf.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would put a halt on a whole lot of discussions. Do you have a motion on the floor with a
Yeah.
second?
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Before you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah, okay.
Before the
Yeah.
notes go.
Okay,
Yeah,
There we
before
go.
we go off the rails, yeah.
Okay, so right now, the motion on the floor is to move forward with a playground replacement concept at Ridge Park for combined ages 3 to 5 and 5 to 12, with options to expand amenities in the future. Say, all in favor? All opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so motion not passed. So we need Does anyone have a different motion to propose?
I could just say it back on Pat's comment, I would not be able to cancel a playground, what I have in the CIP for a playground and replace it with a different amenity.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to change the verbiage of a playground
Sure.
to.
It's already been in place for a number of years.
Have we ever looked at any of the grants that are available for, and I don't know if, like the outdoor recreation grants?
I can speak to that a little bit. Yeah, we're starting to look at that. I'm not sure we'll be able to pull it together in the next 2 weeks, but our plan is to try to. But I wouldn't want to make anything contingent on that, since we don't typically apply for that grant, but we have looked into it.
Okay. I just think for the future, that might be a possibility, Pat, that would help get us funding for,
Just some
Teenage
backgrounds
option.
on that, on those grants, a lot of
Yeah.
times you do the research and things first.
yeah.
That's why we do the surveys. So even though our pools and that we preach to get as many people to answer to those as we can, because that is really what drives those grants, is you have to do the community surveys, you gotta do concept plans, you gotta have those ideas laid out there. And it does take 3 or 4 years of that planning to have that all written out and laid out, so you can just drop it into that grant and they say, okay, they did their homework. Okay, here's what they want, this is the direction they're going, right? And so that's what Ashley's going based off, is like, we do have some information there. It's not solid, but could we put it together and put something, throw it at the table? Would they take it? They might provide something, but we have some information there, which is better than nothing. So, because we have another other parks, like, next year we go to Stonegate, right? That's the one that we're gonna review in 2020, 2028, 27 to 28, right? So, we have no information on that besides our park master plan, right? So, if you start looking at these things 2 to 3 years out and making additional plans for those, which is no different than what we're doing right now, right? So if we do the playground, is that grant available for, that next amenity that's geared towards teens? 100%, but it's 2 years, could be 1 year to 2 years down the road.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I have a question about your previous motion.
It's dead.
I know. I know. But you just said amenities. You did not say a specific amenity, right?
That's right, yeah. So we can definitely be more specific.
Okay. I'm looking for the language. I propose that we put a playground structure that carries the range of the 3 to 5 and the 6 to 12-year-old at Ridge Park, using the current CIP funds that we had allocated for it, with the intent of adding amenities in the near future specifically for teen-aged kids.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay, so the motion is to move forward on a playground concept for ages 3 to 5 at Ridge Park using the allocated CIP funds with the intent of additional amenities in the future for teen-aged kids. All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't she say 3 to 5 and 6 to 12?
And then 6-12.
3 to 5 and 6 to 12. Thank you.
Can we have some discussion before we take the vote? Sorry, I'm a little
please.
slow. So do you know what you're anticipating as far as teen, I don't want to box ourselves in what that would mean for teen.
I think it kind of leaves it open. If there's something, it could be disc golf, but maybe something comes on the scene that attracts kids to being outside in the next few years that is not prohibitive in costs and wouldn't affect the neighborhood a lot with a lot of noise and stuff. I don't want to specifically say disc golf right now.
It's all gotta come back to us anyway.
Right, because I don't
Easy.
want to necessarily box ourselves into this park
This
either.
park,
If there's a better
yeah.
opportunity to do something really
But it
cool for
does.
teens in a different area.
Right.
What it does is it moves the ball forward on
The playground. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Though I'd be inclined to say that our original motion gives us more opportunity. This does box us in to do teenage in this park, which I don't know that there's,
It has
A
to be
reason to-
considered, it doesn't have to be done. So, that's the way I
Yeah.
would read it.
I mean, and I think that the intent to add amenities is still there, and it's just
Yes.
recognizing that
sorry, it's,
we're,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Apologies.
we're kind of capping out at that 12 age range right now.
Yeah, so the motion is not, it's to consider teen,
With the intent, yeah.
I don't think it handcuffs us.
your motion isn't that we must put. a
We
teen
shall,
out
no, it is not shall,
must.
may.
Ordered.
I don't remember what I used, actually.
Okay, let me restate the motion on the table as I have it written down. And if it isn't right, please help me here. The motion to move forward, a motion to move forward on a playground concept for ages 3 to 5 and 6 to 12 at Ridge Park using allocated CIP funds with the intent of adding amenities in the future for teenage kids.
Could we say with the intent to consider?
Well, the motion
That-
is what it
Would you
is.
like to make
I
an
can amend
amendment?
it.
She could
to
amend
put-
it if she
yeah,
wanted to amend
yeah.
it.
Does that,
Does that help
is
you,
that more
Peter?
comfortable?
It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, as it is fine, honestly.
Okay,
Okay, well then let's leave it as it is.
yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Motion carried, okay. Great discussion, everyone. Excited about seeing this.
Can't wait
Soon
to play
again.
on it.
Can we ask a question before we depart?
Yeah, we might not be able to respond to you, but,
If we fill out a form, would you respond, or it's just too late?
oh, you can go ahead and ask your question, yeah.
Well, you go ahead, and then I'm just, okay.
I was just wondering, does your motion include the parking lot too then? Is that part of it? No.
No,
No, it did not.
No.
That's
No.
not part of it.
this is bits and pieces.
Okay, okay. So your motion is to just move
And
the
replace.
place
To
structure
replace, yeah.
closer?
That's right.
Correct, to the
And
park.
think about some other stuff.
Okay. And, is your motion to put a brand new one in, or to just disassemble?
Yep.
Okay,
Replace it.
you're gonna replace it, okay, okay.
I have a question, do I contact all of you if I want to comment on, your future plans? Just Adam?
Adam's email is on there, all of our emails are on
Our
there.
emails are on there.
We'd
Whatever
love to
you're
get
comfortable
input.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna state, you don't have to be very commenting, but we have 0 teenagers in our
Yeah.
neighborhood. 0. I'd rather have invest tax money where it's going to be used for the teenagers. I respect everything you're saying. We have teenage grandchildren. They would love it when they came over. They don't live near us. So it would be used as much as desired, right? Let's invest where there are teenagers.
The more comments, email, the
Yeah,
better, right?
get your neighborhood to come on out next time.
Fair. I know you all are.
Yeah.
For what you're doing for this.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
out tonight.
Yep, thank you.
This is important. We gotta figure out a better way to get demographics.
Okay, moving on to TABLYN Park. This playground was originally installed in 1997, and again, has exceeded its life. After nearly 3 decades, the use of the structure shows signs of aging and wear that are typical for playground equipment of this age. In addition to general deterioration from weather exposure and frequent use, the playground was designed under older safety, accessibility standards, and no longer reflect current best practices for public play equipment. As a result, existing equipment is approaching the point where removal or replacement is necessary to ensure constructed safety or continued safety for usability of park visitors. Uniquely, the playset at TABLYN sits at the bottom of the park, while the swing structure currently sits near the parking lot. We did do a survey in this park in 2023. Again, our responses to that were pretty minimal, but people were largely in favor of replacing that playground set. So again, in front of us today is would we like to remove or replace this playground structure? Just based off our criteria again, and maybe some comments that came from our collaboration efforts with city council is like, we're going forward with the one at Ridge. We replaced the one at Pebble Park. There potentially will be one, or is a good consideration of one, at the new 70-acre lot as well. So this one lands right in that diamond of all those, and really stems down that miles per part apart from those, right? So otherwise, from Pebble all the way up to Ridge is, you do have that 2-mile mark. You have that 2-mile mark from Ridge all the way back over to Stonegate or Hammis, right? So we kind of keep that distance, and I think it go back off what Peter said, is like, maybe 7's too many, it's a minimal number, but now if you start looking at those mile markers, right, this makes a little bit more sense. So this park here, just because of accessibility and topology of this one, it's a little bit harder to put a play structure there that isn't gonna be crammed in on the rest of what we already have there, right? We do have the new pickleball courts there that are very popular. This site is potentially one for a shade structure as well that we use. The sledding hill is very popular in the winter, which brings, just a trail that connects that parking lot to that back community. So that accessibility from community to that park is very, is good, right? So, but going back to the north is where we lose our connectivity as far as our trail connection to anything. So, so it's something to take into consideration from staff's point of this park is like the placement of this site, unless it's extremely small, with minimal features, I would venture onto the scope of like, let's leave the current play structure as is. It does show wear and tear, but overall structurally, we don't have any written reports of issues with this one. It's small enough where when it was built that it's not like our Demontreville, our Pebble, our Ridge issues. We don't have those issues with this one. We have maybe visual components of this one that are, the plastic's starting to fade, it's deteriorating, right? But overall, would this one last another 2 or 3 years until we find out what's happening on our 76 acres? Yes. With that, I'll open it up back up to the Parks Commission for comments.
I'll make a comment. If people want us to get rid of play structures, and one of the criteria is they gotta put more trails and sidewalks. I mean, that's the answer, okay? That this park in particular is connected to the one neighborhood, but that's it. And there's the other neighborhood that's to the east, for example.
Can't get there.
Can't get there from here. So pass that on to anybody who happens to say, hey, we should get rid of a lot of play sets, is, hey, then we should buy a lot of land for trails and paths, things like that, so.
Okay.
Political announcement.
My kids grew up in the other playground to the east, and we went to TABLYN all the time to slide and play ball with the kids from TABLYN Park. Used it a lot.
Walked
And
over
the
there?
neighbor kids would walk along Stillwater Road.
Across the private property?
Yep. No, no,
Stillwater?
no, you can walk on Stillwater Road, or you could follow the creek, either way.
Okay.
But I don't know how many use it now, though. That's the issue. So my question, Adam, is, it used to be that VA, like T-ball, would have practice there, and the siblings were always at the playground. Do any organizations use that
No, we don't have
ball
any
field?
reservations for that
No.
park for the ball field.
Okay. So you don't keep track of it, they don't regularly, okay. And as far as the swings being at the top, there's a lot of people who come and play pickleball, but there's also a lot of people who play basketball, and their kids will use the swings. So I think the swings at the top of the hill are still used a lot.
Yeah, I have a very similar question for you, Adam. So when we're thinking about replacement, we're just thinking about the playground. That's separate from the swings, or in your mind, are they connected?
In my mind, they're connected.
Okay.
You know, the swing is the old style of the triangle style.
Old? What are you calling old?
Classic.
Parts for those, you know, swings are normally pretty consistent. The only thing we have to do is change the brackets to all those when replacing swing parts.
Okay. Cool. Another question I have for you is, do any of the playground designers that you've worked with in the past have options for something like an embankment slide that would take advantage of the huge hill here in a way that would be a bit unique? Or is that something that if you wanted to pursue that, you'd have to go outside of the normal vendors?
No, I think all three of our previous playground concept designers would all do something like that.
Okay.
You gotta take into effect probably a lot more engineering in order to do it. You know, there's gonna probably be a retaining wall. You're probably gonna wanna go with some type of port in place, because any type of, you know, it's either gonna be a turf type thing, mat that goes down the hill. That's what we've seen on a lot of them, but you might have to have a port in place or something, because I don't know if the chips will stay on both levels, you know,
Okay.
without another border or something, or retaining wall holding.
Okay, and then my final question for you. In the map, of course, you know, there was a PFAS station there for a number of years. That is done, and there are no plans or concepts to have something else temporarily or permanently there. Is that correct?
No, that PFAS station that was positioned there in the far northeast of that park was a temporary, just to gather data, right? So there's no intention of anything going back there at this time.
Okay.
So I have a question. So TABLYN, was that changed to a community park? Because I know that was the recommendation, or is that still a neighborhood park?
It has been a community park.
It has been?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Adam, just to back up, you said that there are safety concerns currently. You expect that there's a 2 to 3 more year potential life out of that? Did I understand that correctly?
You know, I would say that, you know, we have no repair maintenance requests for this one, nor have we had any in the last several years. And that's why I said, you know, I think you could get by, you know, and we could review this again at a later date. So again, maybe in the efforts of maybe separating this out, so I think that was maybe one of the council members' concerns of yeah, it seems to be every year we're having one of these. And so this might be a situation where you'd be able to separate this one out to get it outside those realms of maybe we're only doing them every 3 to 5. You know, we come up on a playground, right? So.
Do you think is that plausible? I mean, we've got a number of other parks. Do you think we're just gonna stack that up with some other parks at this?
Yeah, well, I mean, going forward, we'll be reviewing a lot of parks,
Okay.
and then it'll just be
Yeah.
coming back around, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, you also don't pass the problem on to the future like somebody passed to us, where they basically lined up all these playgrounds, one right after another, to be
Right.
replaced 20 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah, and that may, you know, and they were never addressed, right? And
Right.
so when we start boarding everything up, that just brings up the idea of what is, you know, people bringing up the question of when do these need to be replaced? Oh, we're 10 years behind already, right? And so now we start putting them in those as placeholders and really start reviewing those.
They'd taken on the first one maybe 5 years, maybe a little bit beforehand, and they could have spread it out, but no, we're here with this.
Yep.
And we have not done a concept plan of this park at all.
There is one concept plan that's fairly old, probably like from the nineties, early 2000s.
Okay.
So, that was before they made the foot trail or the wooden steps that go down to towards the baseball field and down to the playground. The initial concept was an asphalt trail that zigzagged back through this steep hill here to make its way down. They went away from that and made the wooden steps that went down the hill.
Wooden steps will need to be replaced sometime.
I should have done that.
The railing, I think
Right,
railing
well,
would be
there's just a
nice.
lot of, I mean, this seems like there's a lot of options for this park, and, I mean, even more so than maybe Ridge. So to not have options to look at, whether it's the playground, whether it's the Ellen, your concept, or seems like the ball field doesn't really get used. So I would struggle with identifying where a playground should or shouldn't go without knowing where everything else probably lands.
Yeah, I guess that's why I asked whether there's 2 to 3 years. I mean, you could take it out and let it sit, but I guess I'm
Right.
inclined with TABLYN to, as I am with most locations, but even more so, I think TABLYN to look at it in totality and say, okay, what do we need to do
Right.
before we start putting a playground down?
And remember that across the street, and that's a big street, there's gonna be a multi-million-dollar park being put in a few years, which is relatively close to this place.
It's about a mile.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
What I say, relatively, and a big jump across the street.
I just mean, we don't know if there's playgrounds or,
Well, yeah, we don't know, but
so.
people have talked.
yep. There's also, I mean, MnDOT has a lot of right-of-way around Stillwater Boulevard. We heard last month about this concept of going east to west with a green
Could go through there.
trail.
That'd be good.
Just, there's a bunch of city-owned open space south of 35th, or south of 34th as well. So it seems like, I guess in my mind, it seems like a lot is happening here, and locking ourselves into something might be premature here. In the master plan, there's also these ideas that, it suggested that maybe a skate park could be a good fit at TABLYN. I don't know in particular about that, but I think it's certainly something that we should be using this master plan, right? And so overall, based on what I think I'm hearing, is I think we should reconsider this in 2028 or earlier if urgent maintenance requests start coming in. Do we want to discuss that before we make a motion here?
Yes, I think that's a good idea, because we also have the issue with the pickleball courts in our, the issue of being in neighborhoods and how far away they have to be. And, something there might change down the road in the near future. So maybe we should just put everything on hold, and this park could look totally different in a few years.
So basically, reconsider a concept for TABLYN Park in 2028, not just the playground.
Correct.
Yeah, and I guess we don't have to do that tonight, but I would like to see additional CIP funds directed that way in anticipation of doing more than just the park. with
Yeah,
the
and
playground.
that's the key thing we gotta remember. If we
Yeah.
do something like that, and that'll actually put us potentially in a better place to do multiple holistic things, if when Adam comes in April and wants the CIP ideas, that's when we start throwing out some, hey, well, what if we put some money in there? We don't have to figure it out. We just put some improvements to TABLYN Park, 3.2 million, but.
I guess just for, what I see as an improvement is getting rid of those stairs. I think the accessibility issue to me in this is one that needs to be addressed, especially with the playground down there. So I'd like to look at it from
And
that
those
perspective.
stairs in a few years, I haven't looked at them closely. I've been up and down them a couple times. They will eventually need to be replaced.
Yeah. Well, I walked them today.
Did you really? Wasn't it covered
with my
with snow?
noonie,
Gee.
and I hung onto the railing. The railing could be replaced.
Yeah.
Or strengthened at any rate. But there is the option, because you can go south on the backside of the tennis courts, and there's that trail, but I think the backside is dirt. It's asphalt up on top.
Yeah, it's asphalt from the edge of the pickleball courts all the way down, the
Yeah.
large.
But that's, the skinny snakebite
skinny
trail
one
there
here
is not asphalt, correct?
Yep.
So there is another way down, if, I don't know how steep that is, if it could be asphalt.
They can just see what happened. People were playing at the ball field and they just ran up and down the hill. And so they got a Boy Scout to build a trail.
We were really happy when those stairs went in.
I will note that those stairs were constructed by the Boy Scouts.
Yeah,
Plaque, wasn't there? a plaque?
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there is a plaque.
It was a nice addition, I have to say. It was a mess before, it was always washed out. So what happens if we don't spend this money that's earmarked for it in the CIP now? Can we, does that stay there, or can we use it for something else?
No, it's just crossed off. It's just, that's just crossed off for 2026.
Okay.
But we could reapply it for, future year?
Yeah, your funds are still, your funds in the park
Park
dedication
dedication.
funds are still there.
Right.
Yeah, you still
So
have
that's where it's coming from. So those funds are still there. You can allot it next year to something else. or
Okay.
this year to-
So we need a motion?
We need a motion. Would anyone like to propose a motion? I'll make a motion to keep the current playset at TABLYN and reconsider a full park concept for TABLYN in 2028.
Second?
Any discussion? Any additional discussion? All right, call the question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thanks, everyone. Moving on, announcements, communication and updates.
Not a lot of communications or updates for this month. We did get the snowfall. We do not plan to be doing any grooming. I think as I noted last month, our ice rink is closed, so we're just waiting for summer and spring. So.
And you have a new
Or do we-
boss.
We do, yeah. He started before our last Parks Commission meeting.
And what is his name?
Pete.
Pete. Pete.
Pete Tholen.
Phil?
Tholen. Tholen.
Okay.
Know about that.
Well, tell him welcome.
Do any of the commissioners have updates?
Oh, I have a question. What's the criteria for the pickleball nets going up?
So we placed up 2 down in Ivywood before the snowfall, when it was 60 degrees or 50 degrees. So the next ones will go up, we'll put them back up at Pebble and TABLYN, back when the snow removes. But, yeah.
Okay,
So,
pretty soon, okay.
yeah, so we've got a new policy for that. Those courts have been marked for reservable, non-reservable. Our process is going pretty smooth so far. We'll see as we venture into the season.
No complaints about the
how it
changes in the
goes.
fees?
Yeah,
No complaints?
I'm sure we have complaints. I'm not taking the reservations, so.
You haven't heard though, have any?
Any updates from the commissioners? With that, can I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.